Princess Valara sits back in her floating chair that hovers 3 feet above the marble floor. The chair glows with a soft blue light, showing everyone in the room just how important she is. Her long silver hair flows down her back, like liquid. Metal and her purple eyes look down at everything with cold judgment. She watches the human man working in her room, and her lips curl into a small, mean smile. Jin moves around the princess's bedroom like a ghost. His hands work quickly but quietly, as he folds her expensive clothes and puts them away in the tall wardrobes that line the walls. He has been doing this same job for 10 years now, ever since Princess Valara's mother died and left him to her daughter like a piece of furniture in a will. His brown hair is cut short and simple, and his face shows no emotion at all. The grey uniform he wears marks him as property of the royal family, just like the small metal collar around his neck that can shock him if he disobeys. The princess stretches her arms above her head and yawns. "Jin, bring me my morning drink. But make sure it's not too hot this time. Yesterday you nearly burned my tongue, you clumsy human." Her voice is sweet like honey, but her words cut like a knife. She knows the drink was perfect yesterday. She just likes to find fault with everything. He does. Jin stops folding a silk dress and turns to face her. He bows his head exactly the right amount. Not too much to seem weak, not too little to seem rude. "Yes, princess. Right away." His voice is calm and steady, like still water. He has learned over the years that showing any emotion only makes things worse for him. As Jin walks to the small kitchen area attached to the princess's room, Valara calls out again, "And Jin, after you bring my drink, I want you to rearrange all the books in my library. Put them in order by color, not by subject like they are now. I think that would look much prettier." She pauses, then adds with fake sweetness, "You can." "Read, can't you? Or is that too hard for your simple human brain?" The library contains over 3,000 books. Organizing them by color instead of subject would make them impossible to find, and Valara knows this. She had Jin organize them by subject just last week, and it took him 3 full days. But she enjoys watching him work for hours on pointless tasks. It reminds her that humans exist only to serve aliens like her. Jin doesn't sigh or roll his eyes or show any sign that he knows this is busy work. Instead, he just nods again. "Of course, princess. I will begin after I bring your drink." He continues preparing her morning beverage, a sweet purple liquid made from fruits that only grow on the Zephyrian homeworld. The Zephyrians had conquered Earth when Jin was just 20 years old. He still remembers the day their huge ships appeared in the sky like dark clouds blocking out the sun. The war lasted only 6 months. Earth's armies fought hard, but Zephyrian technology was far beyond anything humans had ever seen. Their weapons could turn entire cities to glass, and their shields could stop any missile or bullet Earth could fire at them. After the surrender, the Zephyrians divided up the human population like farmers dividing livestock. The strongest humans went to work in mines and factories. The smartest ones became servants for important alien families. The rest were sent to prison planets where they would spend their lives growing food for their conquerors. Jin brings the drink to Princess Valara on a silver tray. She takes it without saying thank you and sips it slowly while watching him over the rim of her cup. "You know, Jin," she says in a voice like she's talking to a pet, "my friends think I'm too kind to you. They say humans need to be reminded of their place more often. What do you think about that?" Jin keeps his face blank as stone. "Princess, you are always fair and generous with me." The words taste like ash in his mouth, but he has learned to say what she wants to hear. Valara laughs, a sound like breaking glass. "Fair and generous, did you hear that? I'm fair and generous to keep you alive when your entire race exists only because we allow it." She sets down her cup and stands up, walking over to the huge window that shows the city below. "Look outside. Jin, see those towers reaching up to the clouds? We built those. See those flying cars moving through the air like schools of fish? We made those too. What did humans ever build that could compare to any of this?" Jin joins her at the window as she commands, but he doesn't answer her question. Down below, he can see other humans walking the streets, all wearing the same grey uniforms that mark them as servants. They keep their heads down as they hurry about their daily tasks, Always careful not to look directly at any Zephyrian they pass. Looking an alien in the eye without permission can earn a human a painful shock from their collar. Nothing, Princess, Valara answers her own question. Humans built nothing that matters. You lived in small boxes made of wood and stone. You fought wars with weapons that threw tiny pieces of metal. You couldn't even leave your own planet without help. She turns to look at Jin directly, her purple eyes studying his face for any reaction. And yet some of you still think you're equal to us. Isn't that funny, Jin? Jin meets her gaze for just a moment before looking down at the floor. In that brief second, something flickers behind his dark eyes, something that might be dangerous if anyone bothered to look closely enough to see it. But Princess Valara sees only what she expects to see, a broken human who knows his place. Yes, Princess, he says quietly. Very funny indeed. The great dining hall buzzes with conversation as 50 of the most important Zephyrian nobles gather. Around the massive crystal table, Princess Valara sits at the head, wearing a flowing dress that shifts colors like an oil spill under the bright lights. The smell of exotic foods fills the air, dishes that would cost more than most humans see in their entire lives. Floating servants, both human and alien, move between the guests carrying golden plates and crystal glasses filled with drinks that sparkle like liquid stars. Lord Kethran, a tall alien with skin like polished stone, raises his glass high. Princess Valara, this feast celebrates another year of our glorious empire's expansion. We have conquered 12 new worlds this season alone. The other nobles cheer and bang their cups on the table, making a sound like thunder rolling through the room. Princess Valara smiles and stands up slowly, enjoying how all eyes turn to her. She loves being the center of attention, especially when she can show off her power over the humans who serve her. Thank you all for coming tonight. I have something special planned for your entertainment. She snaps her fingers, and Jin appears from the shadows where he had been waiting silently. Jin, come here. The human walks forward and stops exactly 3 steps from the princess's chair. He keeps his head down, but his dark eyes take in everything around him, the exits, the positions of the guards, the faces of every noble at the table. It's a habit he learned long ago, though no one bothers to notice such details about a mere servant. My dear friends, Princess Valara announces to the room, you all know about the sacred crystal formation of harmony, yes? The nobles nod and murmur agreement. Every Zephyrian child learns about this ancient puzzle in school. It requires placing exactly 49 crystals in a perfect geometric pattern that creates a field of energy so beautiful it can make groan. Aliens weep with joy. Lord Kethran laughs and leans back in his chair. Of course, Princess. My own crystal master spent 15 years learning to create one properly. It takes incredible skill and the finest gravitational tools. Princess Valara's smile becomes sharp as a blade. Wonderful. Then you'll appreciate watching my human servant create one for us tonight. By hand, with no tools at all. She gestures to a nearby table where 49 crystals of different sizes and colors are scattered randomly, looking like broken pieces. Fear of a rainbow. The entire room falls silent for a moment, then erupts in laughter. Lady Zareth, whose blue skin gleams with expensive oils, nearly chokes on her drink. Princess, you can't be serious. A human? Those creatures can barely count to 10 without using their fingers. This should be amusing, Lord Kethran adds, wiping tears of laughter from his golden eyes. How long should we give him before he gives up? 5 minutes? 10? Other nobles start placing bets on how quickly Jin will fail. Some think he won't even understand what he's supposed to do. Others believe he'll try for a few minutes before breaking down and begging for mercy. None of them think he has even the smallest chance of success. Princess Valara waves her hand for silence. Jin, you heard them. Create a crystal formation of harmony using those crystals. You have 1 hour. She sits back down and picks up her wineglass, already imagining how funny it will be to watch him struggle with something far beyond his simple human mind. Jin walks over to the crystal table without saying a word. The crystals are beautiful, some clear as water, others deep red like blood, still others that seem to hold tiny storms inside them. Each crystal hums with its own energy, and when they're placed correctly, their combined song can create music more beautiful than anything in the galaxy. He doesn't touch the crystals right away. Instead, he stands there for several long minutes, his eyes moving from one crystal to another. The nobles grow impatient and start making jokes about how he's probably trying to figure out which end is up. But Jin isn't confused. He's calculating. His mind works through complex mathematical equations that would challenge the best Zephyrian scientists. Finally, Jin reaches for the first crystal. It's a small blue one that feels warm in his hand. He places it in the exact center of the table, then picks up a larger green crystal and sets it precisely 2 inches to the left. The nobles watch with growing curiosity as he continues, moving with steady confidence around the table. As Jin works, something strange begins to happen. The crystals start to glow softly where they touch each other, creating lines of light that form geometric patterns across the table. The laughter in the room grows quieter as the nobles realize that maybe this isn't going to be as funny as they thought. Lord Kethrin leans forward, his golden eyes narrowing. How does he know where to place them? There's no pattern I can see. But there is a pattern, it's just far more complex than most beings can understand. Jin places each crystal with mathematical precision, creating angles and distances that work together like pieces of a vast 3-dimensional puzzle. His hands never hesitate, never pause to reconsider. It's as if he can see the completed formation in his mind before he even begins. 30 minutes pass. Then 40. The room has grown completely silent, except for the soft humming of the crystals as they connect with each other. Lines of pure energy dance between them, creating shapes that seem to shift and flow like living things. With 5 minutes left in his hour, Jin places the final crystal at the very top of the formation. The moment it touches the others, the entire structure blazes with light, so beautiful it takes everyone's breath away. Music fills the air, not heard through their ears but felt in their bones, in their hearts, in the deepest parts of their souls. The crystal formation of harmony that Jin has created is perfect, more than perfect. It's more elegant and beautiful than any the greatest Zephyrian masters have ever achieved. The energy patterns flowing through it are so complex that several nobles pull out their recording devices, knowing that crystal scientists across the empire will want to study this for years. Princess Velara stares at the formation, her wineglass forgotten in her hand. She tries to speak but finds no words. Around the table, the most powerful beings in the empire sit in stunned silence, all of them trying to understand how a simple human servant has just accomplished something that should be impossible for his kind. Jin steps back from the table and bows to Princess Velara, his face still showing no emotion at all. "Is there anything else you require, Princess?" The victory celebration fills the palace courtyard with the sound of clashing metal and roaring voices. Princess Velara's 3 champion warriors have just returned from crushing a rebellion on the outer colonies, and they're eager to share their stories of conquest. The largest warrior, Commander Thex, stands nearly 8 feet tall with thick grey skin that looks like living armor. His 4 arms end in claws that can slice through steel, and his black eyes gleam with the satisfaction of recent battle. "Princess, you should have seen how quickly those rebels surrendered once they saw our true power." Commander Thex booms, flexing his massive arms. "They thought their primitive weapons could stand against Zephyrian might. We showed them how wrong they were." Captain Vex, the second warrior, nods agreement while sharpening his razor-sharp claws on a whetstone. His lean frame moves with deadly grace, and the scars covering his arms tell stories of 100 victories. "The fools actually believed they could fight us in hand-to-hand combat. I defeated 20 of their best fighters without breaking a sweat." The third warrior, General Tsar, pounds his chest with pride. His thick hide bears the marks of countless battles, and his 6-inch claws gleam like polished knives in the afternoon sun. "Their combat techniques were laughable, Princess. Like watching children play at being soldiers. No skill, no discipline, no understanding of real warfare." Princess Velara listens to their boasts with growing amusement. She loves hearing about the Empire's victories, especially when they involve crushing the hopes of lesser species who dare to challenge Zephyrian rule. The other nobles gathered in the courtyard cheer and laugh at each story, raising their glasses to toast the warriors' success. "Wonderful news, my champions," Princess Velara says, standing up from her throne. Your victories deserve proper celebration, but I have an idea for some additional entertainment. She looks around the courtyard until her eyes find Jin, who stands quietly near the wall waiting for orders. Jin, come here. The human walks forward and bows respectfully. Around him, the three warriors exchange glances and barely contain their laughter. To them, Jin looks like a child standing next to giants. His simple grey uniform and calm expression make him seem completely harmless compared to their battle-scarred bodies and gleaming weapons. My dear warriors, Princess Valara announces to the crowd, you've told us about defeating rebel fighters, but I think our guests would enjoy seeing how different species fight. Jin here represents human combat techniques. Perhaps he could demonstrate them for our amusement. Commander Thex throws back his head and laughs so hard his whole body shakes. Princess, with respect, this human looks like he's never thrown a punch in his life. What could he possibly show us about combat? Captain Vex circles around Jin like a predator studying its prey. Look at him. No claws, no natural armor, no obvious weapons. How do humans even fight each other? Do they just slap and hope for the best? The nobles in the courtyard burst into laughter at this suggestion. Several of them start making exaggerated slapping motions, pretending to be humans in battle. The mockery continues for several minutes, while Jin stands perfectly still, his face showing no reaction to their insults. Princess Valara raises her hand for silence. Excellent point, Captain Vex. This should be very educational for all of us. Jin, I want you to demonstrate human fighting techniques against my three champions. Don't worry, they'll be gentle with you. Jin looks up at the princess with his calm, dark eyes. Princess, if I'm to demonstrate proper human combat techniques, I'll need to temporarily disable my compliance collar. The electrical restrictions interfere with full movement. This request sends fresh waves of laughter through the crowd. Lord Kethran wipes tears from his eyes as he speaks. Oh yes, Princess, please remove his collar. We wouldn't want anything to interfere with this amazing display of human martial arts. Princess Valara grins wickedly. She's looking forward to watching Jin get humiliated in front of everyone. It will be a perfect reminder of humanity's place in the natural order. Of course, Jin. We want to see humans at their absolute best. She presses a button on her wrist device, and Jin's collar beeps once before going dark. The moment the collar deactivates, something changes in Jin's posture. It's subtle. Most people in the crowd don't even notice it. But his shoulders settle. Differently, his weight shifts onto the balls of his feet and his hands hang loose and ready at his sides. To the trained eye, he suddenly looks like a completely different person. Commander Thex steps forward first, confident this will be over in seconds. Don't worry, little human. I'll make this quick and painless. He reaches out with one massive hand, intending to simply grab Jin and lift him off the ground to end this farce. Jin moves. What happens next is so fast that many of the nobles miss it entirely. One moment Commander Thex is reaching for the human, and the next moment he's flat, on his back, gasping for air and staring up at the sky. Jin used the warrior's own momentum against him, stepping aside at the last possible second and applying pressure to a specific point on the alien's neck that temporarily paralyzed his breathing. The courtyard falls completely silent. Commander Thex struggles to sit up, confusion written across his face. What? How did... Captain Vex snarls and rushes forward, his claws extended and ready to slice. He's faster than his larger companion, moving with the deadly grace of a natural predator. But Jin doesn't try to avoid the attack. Instead, he steps directly into it, catching the alien's wrist at precisely the right angle to redirect the force. Using a combination of leverage and pressure points, he spins Captain Vex around and gently lowers him to the ground, where the warrior finds himself unable to move his arms. General Zar watches his two companions lying helpless on the ground and realizes this human is far more dangerous than he appears. Instead of rushing in blindly, he circles carefully, looking for an opening. His battle experience tells him to be cautious, but his pride demands he defeat this supposedly weak creature. Jin doesn't wait for the attack. He moves forward with fluid grace, his body seeming to flow like water around General Zar's defenses. The alien tries to strike with his deadly claws, but somehow Jin is never where the claws land. Instead, The human's hands find pressure points along the warrior's arms and legs, not causing serious injury but temporarily disrupting the nerve signals that control movement. Within 30 seconds, all three of Zephyria's greatest warriors lie on the ground, conscious but unable to fight. They're not seriously hurt. Jin was careful to use techniques that would disable without causing permanent damage, but they're completely helpless. The silence in the courtyard stretches on, and on. Finally, Princess Valara finds her voice. How did you do that?" Jin reactivates his compliance collar with a soft beep and returns to his respectful servant's posture. "Princess, you asked me to demonstrate human combat techniques. These are the basics that most humans learn as children." The whispers start before dawn and continue throughout the palace like a spreading fire. Servants huddle in corners, talking in hushed voices about what they witnessed in the courtyard. Noble families gather over breakfast, trying to make sense of how a human servant defeated three of the Empire's greatest warriors. The story grows with each telling. Some say Jin moved so fast he became invisible. Others claim he used secret human magic that no alien has ever seen before. Princess Valara barely sleeps that night. She tosses and turns in her silk sheets, her mind replaying the fight over and over again. Every time she closes her eyes, she sees Jin moving with that impossible grace, his hands finding pressure points that her warriors didn't even know existed. By morning, she's made a decision that she hopes will give her the answers she desperately needs. "Intelligence Director Korath," she says into her communication device, summoning the head of her spy network. "I need you in my chambers immediately, and bring every file we have on human capabilities and the conquest of Earth." Director Korath arrives within the hour, carrying a stack of data tablets that contain 30 years of information about humanity. He's a thin alien with silver skin and large yellow eyes that miss nothing. His job is to know everything about potential threats to the Empire, but right now he looks as confused as everyone else. "Princess, I've reviewed our files 3 times since last night," he says, setting the tablets on her desk. "Something doesn't add up about the human conquest. According to our records, Earth surrendered after only 6 months of fighting. Their resistance was almost non-existent." Princess Valara picks up one of the tablets and scrolls through the data. "That's what I remember learning in school. Humans were too primitive to mount any real defense against our superior technology." "Exactly," Director Korath continues. "But if humans are so primitive, how did your servant defeat our best warriors? I've been analyzing the courtyard security footage all night. The combat techniques he used aren't in any of our databases. They're completely unknown to our military science." The princess sets down the tablet and walks to her window, looking out at the city below. Somewhere down there, Jin is probably going about his normal duties, cleaning, organizing, serving other members of the royal household. But now, she can't. Stop wondering what else he might be doing when no one is watching. "Director, I want you to investigate every human servant in the palace. Find out where they came from, how long they've been here, and what they do when they're not working." "Of course, Princess. But may I ask why you suspect there might be more to discover?" Princess Valara turns back to face him, her purple eyes troubled. "Because I've been watching Jin more carefully since yesterday, and I'm starting to notice things that don't make sense for a simple servant." Over the next few days, the princess begins to study Jin like a scientist studying a puzzling specimen. She watches him work, looking for clues she might have missed during the 10 years he's been serving her family. What she discovers makes her increasingly uncomfortable. Jin's hands tell stories that don't match his supposed background. While most servants have calluses from cleaning and carrying, Jin's hands show different marks. There are thin scars between his fingers that look like they came from handling advanced weaponry. His knuckles have the kind of hardened ridges that come from years of martial arts training. Most telling of all, there's a small circular scar on his left palm that matches the grip pattern of energy weapons that the Empire's own soldiers use. His eyes hold another mystery. When Jin thinks no one is looking, his gaze becomes distant and calculating. He studies the palace layout with the careful attention of someone planning something important. He memorizes guard schedules, notes security weaknesses, and always knows exactly where every exit is located. These aren't the habits of a servant, they're the habits of a soldier. Then there's the music. Sometimes when Jin thinks he's alone, he hums soft melodies while he works. Princess Valara has access to the Empire's complete database of human culture. But when she searches for these songs, she finds nothing. They don't match any known human music from Earth's conquered territories. The melodies are complex and sophisticated, with harmonies that suggest advanced musical training. One morning, Princess Valara decides to confront Jin directly. She finds him organizing books in the palace library, the same books he's reorganized dozens of times whenever she wants to give him busy work. "Jin, I've been thinking about your performance in the courtyard. Those fighting techniques were quite impressive." Jin continues shelving books without looking at her. "Thank you, Princess. I'm glad the demonstration was entertaining. Where exactly did you learn to fight like that? Our records show that humans had no advanced martial arts before the conquest." For just a moment, Jin's hands pause in their work. It's barely noticeable, but Princess Valara catches it. "Princess, humans have always found ways to defend themselves. We learned from necessity. But those pressure points you used on my warriors, how did you know exactly where to strike? Our own military doctors don't understand alien anatomy that well." Jin finally turns to face her, his dark eyes meeting her purple ones directly. There's something in his gaze that makes her take a step backward, a depth of knowledge and experience that seems to stretch back much further than his apparent age would suggest. "Princess," he says in his calm, steady voice, "I am whatever you require me to be. If you need a servant, I serve. If you need a demonstration of human capabilities, I demonstrate. If you need someone to organize your books, I organize. My purpose is to fulfill your needs." The answer is perfectly respectful and completely unsatisfying. Princess Valara realizes that Jin has just avoided her questions without seeming rude or disobedient. It's a skill that requires intelligence and training, the kind of training that spies and soldiers receive. "That's not really an answer, Jin." Jin bows his head slightly. "Princess, it's the only answer I have to give." As he returns to his work, Princess Valara feels a chill run down her spine. For the first time in her life, she wonders if the Empire's greatest victory might actually have been something else entirely. And if that's true, then what exactly has been living in her palace for the past 10 years? The first explosions wake Princess Valara from her afternoon rest. The palace walls shake so violently that crystal ornaments fall from their shelves and shatter on the marble floor. At first, she thinks it might be another celebration. The military often tests new weapons in the outer atmosphere. But when her communication device starts screaming with emergency alerts, she realizes this is something far more dangerous. "Princess, we're under attack." General Corinth's voice crackles through the static-filled transmission. Multiple enemy fleets have appeared out of nowhere. "They're hitting us with everything they've got." Valara rushes to her window and looks up at the sky. What she sees makes her blood freeze in her veins. Hundreds of alien ships fill the air above the capital city, their weapons lighting up the afternoon sky like deadly fireworks. These aren't Zephyrian ships. They belong to the Draknari, the Volthan, and at least 3 other hostile races that have been enemies of the Empire for centuries. "How is this possible?" she whispers to herself. "These races hate each other almost as much as they hate us. They would never work together. But somehow, they are working together, and their coordination is perfect." The Draknari ships hit the planetary defense shields with their plasma cannons, while Volthan vessels slip through the gaps to target ground installations. A third species she doesn't recognize uses some kind of disruption weapon that makes the Empire's communication systems fail one by one. Another massive explosion rocks the palace, this one much closer than the first. Princess Valara can smell smoke and hear the sound of running feet in the corridors outside her room. Palace guards shout orders to each other as they try to organize a defense, but their voices sound panicked and confused. Jin appears in her doorway, as if from nowhere. His grey servant uniform looks the same as always, but something in his posture has changed. He stands straighter, his eyes scan the room quickly and efficiently, and his hands rest in positions that would let him reach for weapons if he had any. "Princess, we need to move to the secure levels immediately," he says with an urgency she's never heard from him before. "The upper floors aren't safe." "What do you know about palace security?" Valara snaps, her fear making her voice sharp. "You're just a servant." Before Jin can answer, The wall behind her explodes inward. Chunks of stone and metal fly across the room as 3 alien soldiers in strange armor burst through the smoking hole. Princess Valara has never seen their kind before. They look like walking lizards with 4 arms and glowing red eyes that seem to see everything at once. "Target acquired," one of the soldiers says in a harsh, clicking language that sounds like breaking glass. "Princess Valara of the Zephyrian Empire. Orders are to capture alive." The soldiers raise their weapons, strange crystalline devices that hum with deadly energy. Princess Valara freezes with terror, unable to move or speak. These aliens know exactly who she is and where to find her. Somehow they've gotten detailed intelligence about the palace layout and the royal family's schedules. Jin moves like lightning striking. One moment he's standing by the doorway, and the next he's between Princess Valara and the alien soldiers. His movements are so fast and precise that they seem almost like a deadly dance. He grabs the first soldier's weapon and uses it to strike the second soldier's helmet, creating a shower of sparks. Before the third soldier can react, Jin's elbow finds a gap in its armor, hitting a pressure point that makes the alien collapse instantly. The first soldier tries to grab Jin with its 4 arms, but the human slips through its grasp like water. Through fingers, Jin's hands find specific points on the alien's neck and shoulders, pressing in ways that make the creature's nervous system shut down temporarily. Within seconds, all 3 soldiers lie unconscious on the floor. Princess Valara stares at Jin in complete shock. What are you? "Princess, we can discuss this later," Jin says, his voice completely calm despite having just defeated 3 armed enemies in hand-to-hand combat. "Right now, we need to reach the emergency bunkers before more soldiers find us." "More soldiers? How do you know there are more?" Jin looks at her with those dark eyes that seem to hold depths of knowledge she's never suspected. "Because this isn't a random attack, Princess. Someone has given these aliens detailed information about Palace. Defenses, guard schedules, and structural weak points. They know exactly where to strike for maximum damage." As if to prove his point, explosions echo through the corridors outside. The sound of weapons fire grows closer, along with the harsh voices of more alien soldiers searching room by room. Princess Valara realizes that the palace's supposedly impregnable defenses are failing completely. "This way," Jin says, leading her toward a hidden panel in the wall that she didn't even know existed. "The service tunnels will take us to the lower levels." "How do you know about service tunnels? I've lived in this palace my entire life, and I've never seen that panel before." Jin opens the hidden door with practiced ease, revealing a narrow corridor that stretches into darkness. "Princess, there are many things about this palace that you don't know, just as there are many things about your servants that you've never bothered to learn." They slip into the tunnel, just as more alien soldiers break down the main door to her chambers. Through the thin walls, Princess Valara can hear them speaking in their clicking language, reporting that the target has escaped and requesting additional search teams. As they make their way through the narrow tunnel, Princess Valara begins to understand that everything she thought she knew about her world is wrong. The attack isn't random, it's planned with impossible precision. The aliens know secrets about palace security that should be known only to the highest levels of Zephyrian command. And her servant, who she's treated like a piece of furniture for 10 years, clearly knows far more about warfare and palace defenses than any servant should. "Jin," she whispers as they crawl through the darkness, "who are you really?" His voice comes back to her through the blackness, calm and steady as always. "Princess, I'm exactly who I've always been. You're just finally starting to see it." Behind them, the sound of alien soldiers grows louder as they begin searching the service tunnels. Whatever answers Jin might give her will have to wait. Right now, survival is the only thing that matters. The emergency bunker sits 3 levels beneath the palace, hidden behind walls of reinforced metal that could withstand a direct hit from orbital cannons. Princess Valara huddles in the corner of the small room, her elegant dress torn and dirty from crawling through service tunnels. The sounds of battle rage above them. Explosions, weapon fire, and the screams of both aliens and defenders locked in deadly combat. Jin, or whoever he really is, stands by the bunker's security monitors, watching multiple screens that show the destruction happening throughout the palace. His servant's uniform is still clean and unwrinkled, as if he's done nothing more strenuous than organizing books. But his eyes move across the screens with the practiced attention of someone who understands military tactics and strategic planning. The 3rd Battalion should have reached the East Wing by now, he murmurs to himself, studying the movement of alien forces on the monitors. And if the Vulthan are hitting the communication arrays from that angle, he pauses, making mental calculations that no servant should be able to make. Princess Valara can't take it anymore. Her entire world is falling apart around her, and the one person who might have answers is pretending to be concerned about military movements he shouldn't even understand. She stands up and marches over to him, her fear turning into angry demand. "For truth, stop lying to me," she shouts, grabbing his arm and spinning him around to face her. "Who are you really? How do you know about palace security systems? How did you defeat those soldiers so easily? And why do you seem to know exactly how this attack is going to unfold?" Jin looks at her for a long moment, his dark eyes studying her face as if he's making a difficult decision. Finally, he sighs and steps away from the monitors. When he speaks again, his voice has changed. It's still calm and controlled, but now it carries the authority of someone used to giving orders, rather than taking them. "My name is Hansol," he says simply. "I'm a lieutenant colonel in Earth's Strategic Intelligence Division, Deep Cover Operations. I've been assigned to this palace for the past 10 years as part of Operation Long Game." Princess Valara feels like the floor has disappeared beneath her feet. "That's impossible. Earth surrendered 30 years ago. Your entire species was conquered and enslaved." Hansol shakes his head slowly. "No, Princess. That's what we wanted you to believe. Earth's surrender was carefully staged to look real. We sacrificed some of our cities and allowed some of our people to be taken as slaves, but it was all part of a much larger plan." "What kind of plan?" she whispers, though part of her already suspects the answer will terrify her. "The kind of plan that takes generations to complete," Hansol replies, turning back to the monitors. "We knew we couldn't defeat the Zephyrian Empire in direct combat. Your technology was too advanced, your military too powerful. So we chose a different strategy. We let you win the battle so we could win the war." On the screens, Princess Valara watches alien soldiers moving through her palace with perfect coordination. They know exactly where to go, which rooms to search, and how to avoid the remaining Zephyrian defenders. It's as if they have detailed maps of every corridor and chamber. "Those aliens attacking the palace," she says slowly. "They're not acting on their own, are they?" Hansol's reflection appears in the dark screen before them. The Draknari have been at war with the Vulthan for 3 centuries. The idea that they would suddenly work together was impossible until human agents spent 20 years convincing each side that they needed allies to defeat the Zephyrian Empire. We provided intelligence, suggested strategies, and carefully orchestrated their cooperation. Princess Valara sinks into a nearby chair, her mind struggling to process what she's hearing. "You're saying that humans are behind this attack, that you've been manipulating multiple alien species into fighting us?" "Not just this attack, Princess. We've been manipulating conflicts across the galaxy for decades. Every war between alien powers in the last 30 years has had human involvement. We've been playing all sides against each other while gathering intelligence and positioning our people in key locations." "Your people? How many humans are there like you?" Hansol pulls up a different display on one of the monitors. It shows a galactic map with thousands of red dots scattered across dozens of star systems. Each dot represents a human agent embedded in alien society. "We have operatives in every major alien civilization," he explains. "Servants in palaces, workers in factories, technicians maintaining communication systems, even some who have risen to positions of influence in alien governments, all of them reporting back to Earth, all of them working toward the same goal." Princess Valara stares at the map in horror. There are so many red dots that they look like a disease spreading across the galaxy. "This is impossible. We would have detected such a massive intelligence network." "Would you?" Hansol asks. "When was the last time any Zephyrian bothered to really look at their human servants? You've spent 10 years giving me orders, watching me work, even sleeping in the same building with me. Did you ever suspect I was anything more than what I appeared to be?" She wants to argue, but she can't. The truth is that she never looked at Jin, Hansol, as anything more than a useful tool. None of the Zephyrians did. They saw humans as conquered slaves, too primitive, and broken to pose any real threat. "The crystal formation," she says suddenly, remembering his perfect completion of the impossible puzzle. "You knew how to do that, because you've been studying our technology and culture for years." 10 years in this palace alone, Hansol confirms. "I know your defensive systems better than your own security officers. I know your military communications codes, your supply lines, your political weaknesses. And I'm not the only one. We have agents who've been gathering similar intelligence from every major Zephyrian installation." Another explosion shakes the bunker, closer than before. On the monitors, Princess Valara can see alien soldiers getting nearer to their location. They move with purpose, as if they know exactly where the emergency bunkers are located. "They're going to find us," she says. Hansol nods calmly. "Yes, they are. That's part of the plan, too." "What plan?" "What happens when they capture me?" Hansol looks at her with something that might be sympathy. "Princess, the Zephyrian Empire's reign of terror across the galaxy is about to end. Tonight isn't just about capturing you, it's about dismantling your entire power structure. While these forces attack your capital, similar operations are happening on every major Zephyrian world simultaneously." Princess Valara realizes the true scope of what's happening. This isn't just an attack on her planet. It's a coordinated strike against the entire empire, planned and orchestrated by a species that everyone believed was defeated and enslaved. "How long have you been planning this?" "Since the day your ships first appeared in Earth's sky," Hansol replies. "We knew we couldn't match your military power, so we decided to match your patience instead. 30 years of preparation, 30 years of positioning our pieces on the board. Tonight we make our move." The sound of approaching footsteps echoes through the corridors outside the bunker. Their time for conversation is running out. The bunker door slides open with a soft hiss, and Hansol peers out into the darkened corridor. Emergency lighting casts red shadows on the walls, and the sound of distant explosions continues to shake. Dust from the ceiling. He signals for Princess Valara to follow him as they begin moving through the maze of underground passages that connect the palace's lower levels. "Where are we going?" Princess Valara whispers, trying to keep up with Hansol's confident stride through corridors she's never seen before. "To a secure communication station," he replies without looking back. "There are things you need to understand about what's really happening tonight, and I want you to hear them directly from the source." They move quickly through service tunnels and maintenance areas that Hansol navigates with perfect familiarity. Princess Valara realizes he must have spent years mapping every inch of these hidden spaces, learning routes that even the palace guards don't know exist. Every few minutes he stops and listens carefully, sometimes changing direction, to avoid areas where alien soldiers might be searching. After 20 minutes of careful movement, they reach a small room filled with communication equipment that looks far more advanced than anything the Zephyrians use in the palace. Hansol activates the devices with practiced ease, and multiple screens come to life showing data streams and tactical information from across the galaxy. "This equipment," Princess Valara says, staring at technology she doesn't recognize. "How long has this been here?" 8 years, Hansol replies, adjusting frequencies on the communication array. "We built it piece by piece using components that looked like ordinary maintenance supplies to your security teams. It's connected to a network that spans the entire galaxy." "What kind of network?" Hansol brings up a display that shows communication. Links between thousands of points of light scattered across hundreds of star systems. Each point represents a human agent, and Princess Valara watches in amazement as data flows between them in real time. "Every human slave in the galaxy is connected to this network," Hansol explains. "We've been sharing information, coordinating operations, and planning for this moment for 3 decades. Your empire never suspected because you never bothered. To monitor the communications of beings you considered too primitive to be dangerous." He activates a voice channel, and suddenly the room fills with reports from human agents across the galaxy. Princess Valara listens in growing horror as she hears update after update about simultaneous operations happening on dozens of worlds. Agent: "My young reporting from Zephyrian Military Command." comes a female voice speaking in perfect Zephyrian. "Defense grid protocols have been compromised as planned. All planetary shields will fail within the next 30 minutes. Princess Valara grabs Han Sol's arm. "Mi Young, she's been working in our military headquarters for 15 years. She translated documents for our generals, organized their files, and copied every piece of classified information that passed through her hands," Han Sol confirms. "Mi Young has detailed knowledge of every Zephyrian military installation, every defensive capability, every strategic weakness. She's been feeding that information to our network for over a decade." Another voice comes through the communication system, Agent Taemin checking in from Weapons Development Lab 7. "The new plasma cannon prototypes are ready for field testing, complete with the vulnerability subroutines we've been building into them for the past 5 years. Taemin 2. "Princess Valara can barely speak. He's been working on our most advanced weapons projects. Our scientists trusted him with classified technology because he appeared to be nothing more than a skilled technician," Han Sol says. "But Taemin has advanced. Degrees in engineering and computer science from Earth's best universities. He's been ensuring that every new weapon your empire develops contains hidden weaknesses that only we know how to exploit." The reports continue coming in from across the galaxy. Agent Byung-ho has been working as a maintenance worker in the Empire's largest starship construction facility, secretly installing tracking devices in every ship that gets built. Agent So Young has spent 12 years as a servant in the home of the Empire's chief economic advisor, photographing classified financial documents that revealed the locations of hidden resource stockpiles. Agent Jun Seo reporting from the Imperial Communications Center, another voice announces. "All long-range communication arrays are now under our control. The Empire's outer colonies have been cut off from Central Command. Princess Valara recognizes that name too. Jun Seo has been cleaning the communications center for years, always quiet and invisible as he went about his duties. She realizes now that he's been in position to monitor every important message sent between the capital and the outer territories." "This is impossible," she whispers. "You're telling me that thousands of humans have been working together for decades, and we never suspected anything." Han Sol brings up another display showing the scope of the human intelligence network. There are agents in government buildings, military bases, research facilities, and noble households across hundreds of worlds. They've been gathering information about alien technology, political structures, economic systems, and military capabilities, while maintaining perfect cover as conquered slaves. "The beautiful irony," Han Sol says, "is that your empire's own arrogance made this possible. You were so convinced of human inferiority that you never imagined we could organize something this sophisticated. You saw us as broken, defeated creatures who posed no threat to your superiority. But how did you coordinate all of this? How did you communicate across such vast distances without our intelligence services detecting it?" Han Sol shows her the technical specifications of their communication system. It uses quantum entanglement principles that are far beyond current Zephyrian science, hidden within seemingly ordinary household devices that no alien ever bothered to examine closely. "We've been playing a chess game that spans the entire galaxy," he continues, "while your people thought they were playing a simple game of capture the flag. Every move we made looked random and harmless to outside observers, but they were all part of a coordinated strategy that took 30 years to execute." Another voice comes through the communication system. Agent Dong Hyun reporting from the Treasury Department. "All financial records have been copied and transmitted. We now have complete documentation of the Empire's economic vulnerabilities." Princess Valara sinks into a chair, overwhelmed by the revelation that her entire civilization has been infiltrated and manipulated by beings they considered primitive slaves. "What happens now? What do you want from us?" Han Sol looks at her, with those dark eyes that she now realizes have been studying her and her people for years, gathering intelligence that would eventually bring down the most powerful empire in the galaxy. "Princess," he says quietly, "what happens now depends entirely on whether your people are willing to learn a new way of thinking about their place in the universe. The hidden communication chamber lies deep beneath the palace foundations, behind a wall that looks exactly like solid stone, but slides away at Hansol's touch. Princess Valara follows him into a room that takes her breath away. The space is filled with dozens of holographic displays showing star maps, tactical readouts, and real-time video feeds from across the galaxy. The technology is clearly human in design, but it's far more advanced than anything the Zephyrians believed Earth was capable of producing. "This has been here the entire time?" Princess Valara asks, staring at the sophisticated equipment that must have taken years to install. "Without detection. We built it piece by piece over the last decade," Hansol explains, activating the main display. "Every component was smuggled in disguised as cleaning supplies, maintenance equipment, or personal belongings. Your security teams never thought to scan the possessions of lowly human servants." The central hologram comes to life, showing a three-dimensional map of the entire galaxy. Thousands of points of light pulse across the display, each one representing a human operative embedded in alien society. As Princess Valara watches, many of these lights begin flashing red in synchronized patterns. "What's happening to all those lights?" she asks. "Those are activation signals," Hansol says with quiet satisfaction. "Right now, across hundreds of worlds, human agents are dropping their disguises and revealing their true nature. The galaxy is about to discover that the conquest of Earth was the beginning of our strategy, not the end of it." A voice crackles through the communication system from somewhere far across the galaxy. "Agent Kyung-ho reporting from Draknari Command. I've just taken control of their primary fleet coordination center. All Draknari ships are now receiving navigation data from us instead of their own command structure." Princess Valara recognizes the significance immediately. "You're controlling the ships that are attacking us." "We're controlling much more than that," Hansol replies, bringing up tactical displays that show military movements across multiple star systems. "Agent Kyung-ho has been working as a maintenance technician in Draknari Fleet Command for 18 years. He's had access to their most classified navigation systems and communication protocols. The Draknari think they're launching their own attack, but they're actually following battle plans that we wrote." Another transmission comes in from a different part of the galaxy. "Agent Seung-min reporting from Voltan Central Intelligence. All their spy satellites have been reprogrammed to send data directly to our network. The Voltan no longer have independent intelligence gathering capability. More reports flood in from agents across the galaxy. Agent Hyejin has taken control of the power grid on the Zephyrian industrial world of Kepler-7. Agent Minho has seized the communication arrays that coordinate trade between the outer colonies. Agent Yunji has activated hidden programs in the computer systems that control automated defense platforms, turning the Empire's own weapons against itself." "How is this possible?" Princess Valara whispers. "These agents would have needed decades to gain this kind of access." "Exactly," Hansol says. "That's why Earth's surrender 30 years ago was so important. It gave us the time we needed to position our people in critical locations throughout alien civilization. While your people celebrated their easy victory, we were playing the longest game in military history." The main display shifts to show the space around Zephyrian worlds, and Princess Valara gasps at what she sees. Hundreds of ships are materializing out of what appears to be empty space, their hulls gleaming with human design features she's never seen before. "Where did those ships come from?" she demands. "They've been hiding in dark space for 25 years, Hansol explains. "Using stealth technology that makes them invisible to alien sensors, our fleets have been positioning themselves around every major world in the galaxy. They've been waiting patiently for the signal to begin the final phase of our operation." Princess Valara watches in amazement as more and more human ships appear throughout the galaxy. They move with perfect coordination, their attacks timed precisely with the actions of the embedded agents. Every strike is calculated to disable alien defenses without causing unnecessary destruction. This isn't just a military operation, she realizes. This is the most complex strategic plan ever conceived. Earth's greatest minds have been working on this for 3 decades, Hansol confirms. Military strategists, computer scientists, psychologists, and social engineers all collaborated to create a plan that would defeat superior alien technology through patience, deception, and perfect timing. A new voice comes through the communication system, this one speaking with clear authority. This is Admiral Young Jun aboard the flagship New Horizon. All fleet elements are in position. Operation Phoenix is now entering its final phase. The display shows human ships moving into formation around the Zephyrian homeworld. Princess Valara realizes that her planet is now completely surrounded by a fleet that appeared from nowhere in a matter of minutes. Phoenix, she asks. The mythical bird that rises from its own ashes, Han Sol explains. Earth appeared to die 30 years ago, but like the phoenix, we've been reborn stronger than before. The conquered became the conquerors through patience and planning, rather than brute force. Princess Valara sinks into a chair as the full scope of humanity's deception becomes clear. You sacrificed an entire generation of your people. Thousands of humans spent their lives pretending to be slaves just to position themselves for this. A moment. Not sacrificed, Han Sol corrects her. Invested. Every human who volunteered for deep cover operations knew they were part of something larger than themselves. We gave up our freedom temporarily to ensure that future generations would never have to live under alien domination. The communication channels fill with reports from across the galaxy as human agents complete their missions. Power grids shut. Down on alien worlds. Communication networks switch to human control. Defense systems turn their weapons toward their own command centers. In a matter of hours, the most powerful empires in the galaxy find themselves helpless against an enemy they believed they had already defeated. This is impossible, Princess Valara says again, but her voice lacks conviction. The evidence is overwhelming. Humanity has just executed the most sophisticated military operation in galactic history. Princess, Han Sol says gently, your people need to understand that the age of conquest and domination is over. Tonight marks the beginning of a new era, one where species work together as equals rather than rulers and slaves. Outside the hidden chamber, the sounds of battle are growing quieter. The human fleet has achieved total orbital superiority, and their embedded agents have neutralized most resistance from within. The Zephyrian Empire's reign is ending not with a glorious final battle, but with the quiet efficiency of a plan 30 years in the making. The sounds of battle outside the palace walls gradually fade to silence. Through the communication chamber's monitors, Princess Valara watches human forces moving through the capital city with precise, organized efficiency. There's no wild destruction or revenge-fueled chaos. Instead, the human soldiers work methodically to secure key buildings, protect civilian areas, and establish order. Their discipline is remarkable for a species she was taught to view as primitive and emotional. It's over, Han Sol says quietly, studying the tactical displays that show human control extending across the entire planet. Zephyrian Military Command surrendered 10 minutes ago. Your orbital defense platforms are under our control, and your remaining fleet commanders have agreed to stand down. Princess Valara stares at the screens, showing her once mighty empire crumbling in a matter of hours. On dozens of worlds across the galaxy, similar scenes are playing out. The Draknari homeworld has fallen. The Volthan capital is under human occupation. Even the mysterious Korthani, who had never been defeated in 3,000 years of warfare, have surrendered their core systems. How? She whispers. How did you coordinate all of this across such vast distances? Very carefully, Han Sol replies, and with the patience to wait 30 years for the perfect moment. We learned from studying your empire, Princess. We learned that the key to defeating superior technology isn't to match it directly. It's to understand the weaknesses that come with overconfidence. A new voice comes through the communication system, this one carrying the authority of Supreme Command. This is Fleet Admiral Chang Wu speaking to all human forces. Phase 1 of Operation Phoenix is complete. All major alien military installations are now under our control. Begin Phase 2, Civilian Protection and Infrastructure Stabilization. Princess Valara looks up at Han Sol with a mixture of fear and confusion. Civilian protection? You're not going to treat us the way we treated you? Han Sol turns away from the monitors to face her directly. For the first time since revealing his true identity, his expression shows something that might be compassion. Princess, that's exactly the kind of thinking that led to your empire's downfall. You assumed that because you treated others with cruelty, Others would automatically treat you the same way. But we conquered your worlds. We enslaved your people. We treated humans like animals for 30 years. Yes, you did, Han Sol agrees. And now you're going to face the consequences of those actions. But humanity's idea of justice is different from yours. We don't believe in repeating the mistakes that caused so much suffering in the first place. He activates a new display that shows detailed plans for post-war reconstruction. Princess Valara reads through documents that outline humanitarian aid, programs, infrastructure rebuilding projects, and educational initiatives designed to help former enemy species adapt to a new galactic order. These plans, she says slowly, you're actually going to help rebuild the worlds you've conquered? We're going to help rebuild the galaxy, Han Sol corrects her, but that process requires cooperation from people like you, former leaders who understand how the old system worked and can help design something better. Princess Valara feels a chill run through her body. What are you saying? Han Sol sits down across from her, his posture relaxed but his eyes serious. I'm saying you have a choice to make, Princess. You can stand trial for war crimes, and yes, the deliberate mistreatment of human prisoners qualifies as war crimes under the new galactic justice system we're establishing. Or you can choose to help us build something better. What kind of help? The kind that requires you to acknowledge what your empire did wrong and work actively to make sure it never happens again. You know Zephyrian culture, politics, and social structures better than any human ever could. That knowledge could be valuable in helping your people transition to a new way of thinking. Princess Valara realizes that Han Sol is offering her something she never expected, a chance at redemption rather than simple revenge. It's more mercy than she would have shown if their positions were reversed. And if I refuse? Then you'll face trial before a tribunal that includes representatives from every species your empire oppressed. The evidence against you is extensive. Every cruel order you gave, every human you humiliated or abused, every time you treated sentient beings like entertainment. It's all been documented by our agents. The weight of 30 years of casual cruelty suddenly settles on Princess Valara's shoulders like a crushing burden. She thinks of all the times she mocked Jin, Han Sol, and demanded impossible tasks just to amuse herself. She remembers laughing at human suffering and treating people like disposable objects. I never thought, she begins, then stops. The truth is that she never thought of humans as people at all. They were just things that existed for her convenience. No, you never did think about it, Han Sol agrees. That was the point. Your entire civilization was built on the assumption that some species were naturally superior to others. That assumption made you blind to the possibility that the inferior species might be more capable than you realized. Princess Valara looks at the monitors, showing human forces bringing order to her former empire. These soldiers move with discipline and purpose, treating captured Zephyrians with respect despite having every reason for revenge. It's a level of moral strength that challenges everything she was taught about human nature. What would helping you involve? She asks quietly. Truth, Han Sol says simply. Truth about how your empire really operated. Truth about the suffering it caused. Truth about the changes needed to prevent it from happening again. And most importantly, truth about the fact that no species has the right to dominate others, no matter how advanced they believe themselves to be. Princess Valara realizes that her choice isn't just about her own fate. It's about whether she's willing to accept that everything she believed about the natural order of the universe was wrong. The humans she viewed as weak and primitive have just demonstrated strategic thinking and patience that surpass the greatest minds in her empire. If I help you, she says slowly, what guarantee do I have that humans won't simply become the new oppressors? Han Sol smiles for the first time since revealing his identity. Princess, you're asking the wrong question. The right question is, what guarantee do we have that you've learned enough from this experience to help prevent anyone from becoming oppressors again? Outside the palace, the dawn is breaking over a galaxy that will never be the same. The age of empire and conquest is ending, replaced by something humanity hopes will be better. A community of equals working together instead of a hierarchy of predators and prey. Princess Valara takes a deep breath and makes her choice. Tell me what you need me to do.